To support this podcast, go to positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amount is appreciated. Once again, positivesarcasm.com/donate. Thank you and enjoy the program. JRPositiveSarcasm.com, recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast. Like, subscribe, share, donate. Positivesarcasm.com/donate. Any amount is appreciated. Hit me up on Instagram at @positive_sarcasm. You can also hit me up through my website. Go to the positivesarcasm.com, click on the contact section of my website. And from there, you can fill out some information that is not used for any marketing. I do not keep your data. It does store the emails, but quite frankly, I'm not doing anything with that. I don't need to do that. I'm just fine, thank you. But if you want to email me directly through that site, or positivesarcasm@outlook.com, that's... sorry. That's another way to do it. So, Instagram, directly from my website, and of course, email me directly, positivesarcasm@outlook.com, in case you weren't paying attention. Totally fine. Oh, yeah, what was I going to start with? Okay, so I got this text from a friend of mine, real close friend. She gave me, this is a place that she was renting out for a few years before she got a house, and then she let me move in and take over the lease. And this was in Manchester. I lived there a few years. I lived in Manchester for like 12, 13 years. From like 07 to 2021. 07? Or was it 06? I think it was 06. 2006 to 2021. I left there basically because COVID and Black Lives Matter, and the city was starting to fall to shit. And I was like, well, I guess now's a better time than ever to move to the seacoast. And that from 2021 on became that never-ending trek to get down here. Only took a few years. But she sent me a thing the other day about Manchester. So Manchester police were at a home on Holly Ave between South Wilson and South Lincoln. I lived on South Hall. So so when you go up Silly Road, there's Silly Road, and then there's shithole neighborhood, and then there's nice neighborhood. And it was separated literally by one road. So dog walking neighborhood, know your neighbors, can leave your car unlocked. And then on this side, you have murder, one cop got killed, evictions, Section 8, literally, just on, separated by one road. Just by one road. And then unfortunately in 2020, when COVID happened, and then just about 3 months after that, Black Lives Matter kicked in, the whole George Floyd thing, and then basically there was protests a few blocks down where they took over the whole street. There was meth addicts on the corner of my road, and I said, we're done here. And I was like, time to make this dream come true. So they, according to this information thing, detectives could be seen exiting the building with bags used to collect evidence. The crime scene truck and one cruiser were at the crime scene. Manchester Information spoke to MPD, and we were told there was no active danger. Well, no fucking shit. If you're going to have one... Is there a skunk outside? If there's going to have one police cruiser, you have one, there's obviously no active danger. How many does it take to have active danger? Well, definitely 2. So, but that's just wild. Absolutely wild what that city has become. Unfortunately, we do have some shitty areas in the state due to the inflow of traffic, and it's quite simple. You have the border, and there's one town there where it's, because in Massachusetts everything's taxed, so all you gotta do is go right across the border, and boom, you can get shit for cheaper. And then you just keep going up that road, and then there's Manchester, which is like 20 minutes away, and that was where a lot of refugees were planted, and it's the largest city in the state, so obviously it has problems. And you go a little further up, and then there's the capital, and that has its own problems now. But condensed areas are always going to have problems no matter what you do. No matter what you do, they're always going to have problems. This state is doing a much better job at handling these things because, quite frankly, the vast majority of people in this state are tired of everything that you see basically on Instagram or on TikTok or on Twitter or in the regular dead ass news. They're just tired of it. They don't want to see it. They're like, we're fucking out of here. They're moving to small, quiet places like Auburn, Chester, and then the seacoast. They're moving to places like Brentwood and Kensington, and they're moving to little quiet areas where they're just like, we don't want to deal with this shit anymore. Where it literally became a gray area to black and white, and they're just done with it. They're just like, they got kids. They don't want their kids in shitty schools. They don't want to deal with the drama. They don't want to deal with the woke bullshit. They ultimately just don't want to deal with the hassle of crime. Crime is the great separator. Once you either see it, smell it, or are a victim of it, you're done. You're done. And if you have the power and if you have the money, the opportunity to do something about it, you act on it. And even if you don't have the money, you have the potential to make money somewhere else and create a life for yourself within, 1 to 3 years. You're going to do it. You're going to do it. And a lot of people are they're fucking tired of it. And now that's just from an in-state perspective. From an out-of-state perspective, people are looking at these small places like maybe like Indiana or Ohio, or some parts of Ohio, in the New England, particularly like New Hampshire and Vermont. Vermont is not a state that I particularly care for. I mean, they've got a lot of their own problems, but that mostly stems out of Burlington. Burlington is an absolute shithole. But in a lot of places in Vermont, it's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. It's just rural county USA. You haven't got a care in the world. And because it's so sparsely populated, you can live. You can live. And the houses are, I think, like half the price, depending if you want to do remote work there or if you want to be part of like a small fire department or whatever. You can do it. Okay. So Vermont, if you just want to say, fuck it, leave me alone, you go to Vermont. Maine is kind of like that when you're outside of the city limits. But once you're on that coastline, man, don't get me wrong. The coastline of Maine is one of the most... Actually, I take that back. Let me expand upon it. Maine has, without a doubt, I would say, the most beautiful seacoast, the most beautiful ocean line on the Atlantic. I would say in the United States. Okay? It is. It's just, they got beautiful beaches, rocky coasts, great nightlife, quiet places, busy places. It's just amazing. The reason it outranks New Hampshire as far as beautiful seacoast is because, well, there's just more of it. Because New Hampshire seacoast is a 25-minute drive. 25 minutes, you're in, you're out. You can drive the whole seacoast, though, which is amazing. And in Maine, you can't. But Maine just has more of it and more different parts of it. And you can drive to a lot of these beautiful areas and experience it and have a great time. But it is vacation land for a reason. Taxes are too high. People are retarded. There is crime in places like Portland and in Biddeford. And then Bangor is an absolute shithole. But there's just more of it. But unfortunately, if you don't give a flying shit about the ocean, you just go to Vermont. If you don't have New Hampshire as an option, and then you go to Vermont. That's it. Just go to the upside down version of us, and you're fine. Nobody's ever going to bother you there. That's the thing. If you just don't want to be bothered, you just go there. Of course, you can go to places in northern New Hampshire, but there are some shitty towns there. There's a lot of drug addict towns, to be honest with you. Places like Claremont and Berlin. They got drug problems. Bad ones. Because it's boring. And there's no blue collar jobs per se up there. And there's a commercial real estate crisis that seems to be coming about. There's like the closure of like Rite Aids and all these other retail outlets that are, getting shut down and flattened and I guess basically turned into condos, which is, I don't consider that a terrible thing. considering if there's going to be more condos built and more houses, more developments, and it's not Section 8 shitholes, then what's going to happen in the state of New Hampshire is it's going to, I would hope, because I'm not an analyst. I'm capable of analyzing my own life for 3 to 6 months. But if there's going to be more homes here, then if demand doesn't skyrocket, depending upon what other shithole states do, then that might even out the housing market a little bit to where prices soften for folks who actually want to get a home and aren't, unlike me, aren't super picky about where it is. And then also per capita, if more people are in these areas, then there might be opportunity for small businesses, because I would say, for the most part, we're kind of small business friendly. Portsmouth, downtown Portsmouth, a lot of boutiques, a lot of independent businesses, whether it be cigar shops or purse fucking stores that, or cocktail shop. I don't know. I don't shop at these retarded places, but they're there. They're there, and it's fine. And they've been there for more than 10 minutes. So there's something to be said about that. So these condos, personally, if you told me, hey, you have a choice between a failing mall or a new condo facility, I would be like, all right, well, do condos then. All right, do condos. They're going to be nice. It's fine, because people have to live there, and people would like to have options. And I would like to have more tiers of what I would like. A person should have options, more tiers of where you want to live. You want to start in a shitty little apartment or a basement complex, and then maybe you move up into like a more commercial apartment where it's clean, it's okay, but management sucks, and one of your neighbors is a dickbag. So you want to okay, we lived there for maybe a year, and then we move into like this nicer condo place where you own it for a few years and you build up some equity or something, or maybe it's just this is better. It's you're like a young professional and you can afford it. It's like, I own this place, it's mine. And you spend like maybe 3-4 years living there, maybe 5 years, and you build it up. And it's like, all right, maybe it's time to sell because you found a nice person in your life and you want to move out to the countries. It's like now, but you've been able to, you haven't thrown all your money away on like an apartment or something. And now you can like make that jump. It's like, I want to get a house now. I spent enough time in this condo, and that condo was available, and it was in a nice area, and it worked for you. Like, there are more options for you. And I see that happening. Now, there is a caveat to that. It depends on who owns it. Because there's a lot of shitty associations or property management companies out there that just fucking suck. I mean, my immediate response is all of them suck. But it's a thing. You have an HOA group or whatever, and it's like, okay, I can at least... That is a next step. It's like you start in a basement apartment or something, and then you move into a less shittier place, and then you move into a less shittier place, and then you move into a nicer place, but you're dealing with your management company. But ultimately your goal is like, I want to get from a place that is a management company to a place that's maybe owned by just a property owner, one person, and you answer to them. And then eventually you just make your way up to the point where you're only answering to the bank now. And that because the reason you're answering to the bank is because that's who you have your mortgage through. But that's it. That's, I guess, the last rung, with the exception of you answer to the town, depending upon the town that, like an HOA or whatever. But after that, it's like you want to get to that level. And I think this state is possibly doing a good job of making those levels available. Whereas, depending upon, because some places the taxes are getting out of control, but I've seen prices kind of dropping a little bit here, and you're going to see that. You're going to see some places where the prices are going to go through the fucking roof. Like Massachusetts, prices are going to go through the roof, which unfortunately is going to force more people to want to move across the state lines, but they're going to maybe look at like state taxes, because taxes here for homes are more. They are definitely more. But it's like, okay, what's the deal? Like, you want to live in... I moved from this shitty area. I want a peaceful life. And I think it's become more of that less gray area, and it's more black and white, depending upon who it is. Like, if you have, for example, you have your urban boomer, and you have your rural boomer. Now, when you hear the word boomer, people tend to get very frustrated. Like a lot of people don't like boomers. It's a slang for older people. The greatest generation looks down upon them. The newest generation looks down upon them because of the word boomer. They were there for the 60s. They're seen as rather selfish. And I understand where they're coming from when you say that, because it's almost like they did everything for themselves and they gave nothing to the new generation. Because after the boomers leave, taxes, inflation's through the fucking roof. Restrictions in many states are through the roof. Protection in many states is impossible to get. And they just didn't leave enough for us to be able to make the world or this town or the state better. But there are people that can give you better a perspective than I can on what boomers have done wrong that have made our country worse or made the city or a town worse. But I can actually understand the perspective of a certain type of boomer, because I think there's two. I think there's two types of boomers. I had to think about this because it's just like, why are we hating on a group? If you want to hate on a group, just bring me your reasons. Bring me your reasons why you think this group sucks. If you want to bring that out, it's fine. I will accept any argument, but I will not approve the argument. I will accept your argument as you have an argument. I am willing to listen to it. Okay? As simple as that. Bring an argument to me. I'll listen to what you have to say, unless it's incitement. But we're talking about boomers here. We're not talking about Hamas. We're not talking about that. We're going to focus on, there's the boomer that everybody doesn't like. And then there's the boomer that I live around. I am surrounded by boomers. Okay? Boomers are, like I said, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. These people, that's the boomers. 60s and 70s. Those are boomers. Gen X was born in the 70s, and the millennials were born in the 80s. But the boomers were, obviously, they were born in the 60s, man. The hippie movement, all that stuff. So that is what we're concentrating on. Now, let me get to the point here. What's the difference that I see in the boomers? Well, you've got your rural boomer, okay? Your rural boomer. Rural. Not a lot of people around. Countryside. Quiet towns. And then you've got your urban boomer. Your urban boomer doesn't have, like, their their front yard is a sidewalk. Okay? A sidewalk with a street in a busy area. That's your urban boomer. They paid between, $900 and $1.5 million for their house to be in a status town. Now a status city. Whereas your rural boomer paid between $700 to $1.2 million to have a front yard before the road, like to have acreage around them. Two different requirements. Whereas your city boomer, your urban boomer, they have their responsibility to the front of the house is to put their trash out every Tuesday. The rural boomer, their responsibility is to keep their lawn clean. One has to do it because the trash piles up. The other one wants to do it because they want to look good for their neighbors. They want to look good for their community. They want their cars clean. They want to set an appearance. Okay? That's why they spend so much time like staring at their lawn or looking at a rock or just kind of like almost looking like they're fucking insane, but they're judging their property because this is the only thing they really have as far as like three dimensions here. Because the boomer, for the most part, when you think of a boomer, it's like they had experiences, but I don't know what they invented. I don't know what they did anything special, but it's like they didn't build this country. The boomers did not build this country. Okay? Make that perfectly clear. The boomers did not build this country. And I will say it again. The boomer generation did not build this country. The greatest generation did. The 1920s, the 1930s, the 1940s, the 1950s. Early 1950s. They built this country. The Empire State Building, the city of New York, the city of Boston, the city of Chicago. Okay? California, Nevada. Well, that was the mob. But they built this country. The greatest generation did, okay? They brick and mortared this fucking country from potato farm to the ground up. But the rural boomer did maintain it in the countryside, okay? The house was next to a potato farm. It was a little cottage house that was owned by the guy who decided to go hang out with fucking Gatsby. That little cottage by the ocean. All right? Some guy who was in World War II, who stormed the beaches of Normandy, just wanted to live a quiet life, and after he was done serving his country, decided to go build a little fucking cottage house by the ocean. And he lived there for 30 years until his death in 1989. Just a hypothetical. And then a couple of years after the stock market crash in 1987, he passed away. The house was dirt cheap. Interest rates were still really high. They were probably like, I don't know, fucking 12%. But a boomer came in and bought the house for cheap, probably like between $80,000 and $120,000. And they didn't build anything. But what they did was because there was nobody around them to really bother them, it was quiet, there wasn't a lot of traffic, that gave them time and clarity to think about, well, this is mine, what am I going to do with it? Well, I think I'll maybe build a rock wall here and put up a white picket fence here, and then I'll maybe go to Kmart. Kmart was the thing back in the day. Get some furniture, some patio furniture, maybe build a little deck for cheap money because wood was cheap back then, and have the contractors come in and the plumber come in and maybe redo the program, the copper lines down in the basement and modernize a couple things and curate the lawn and add some flowers. And there's no garage here, but maybe we should get like a little 1 or 2 car garage here. And add some rock steps or granite steps, granite countertops. Everybody, granite countertops, slate countertops. And they just expand it and they make this beautiful home. And they don't realize this little home that they just been kind of wandering around like someone flew over the cuckoo's nest, that 25 years later, this house will be worth like $800,000. But they're just wandering around. They just wander around and they stare at the grass. And it's like, oh, I'm going to need more, I got to get more sod and I got to get more mulch this weekend. That's what they're thinking. And they're just wandering. And they take out a little home equity loan. They decide to build a second floor with like a crow's nest, like a spiral staircase that goes up there, so they can invite their friends over. And then ripe old age of 60, after they just retired from working at Samson and Goliath for fucking 25 years, and they got their pension and they got their 401k and they're rightfully invested, and everything they bought it was on the cheap. And they own the home at this point. They own their cars. They can kind of buy whatever they want. Well, Susan just went and got a brand new Subaru Legacy wagon, and it's got all-wheel drive. It's got the push buttons, and yes, she's doing great. Her hip's not doing too good though, but she'll be back. Doing flowers by, I think, probably by June. She'll be able to tend flowers again, and that's what they do. That's what they do. And they have their little castle and they just kind of roam around it. And that's what the rural boomer does. And it's something to be proud of, that they took something that the greatest generation built and they actually improved upon it. They maintained it. They added to it. And they made the neighbors look across the street and go, Harlingtons. The Harlingtons. That's what I'm thinking about. That's the fucking last name. The Harlingtons did a great job. But look at what Susan. She's got a new car, and they put a second floor on. Frank's was a home equity loan. It wasn't that much money. Because Todd next down the street's a handyman, so he helped them with some of the carpentry work and blah blah blah. We should do that, and then the next thing you know, the neighborhood's just filled with these boomers who are basically just making everything that you just drive down this place, and it's like the fucking Palisades. It's just gorgeous. And then people walking by, I love what you did with your home. Oh, hi, Carol. And they just wave at each other. Oh, you just get a new dog? Oh, we miss Frankie, though. And it's just like, and everything is nice, and everybody's nice, and everybody's just so nice. It makes you want to fucking throw up. But you would totally want to live there because the minute you move in, hey, welcome to the neighborhood. As you know, and it's like, doesn't matter what you drive, doesn't matter what you do. It's like, oh, what do you do? Oh, OnlyFans. That's great. How's that going well for you? How long you been doing that? That's awesome. Oh, he's a little boy. And it's like, that's all. And everybody's like, whether they're fake or they're not, it's like they're all nice to each other because it's like, oh, well, yeah, well, look what we're doing. We're putting in, crushed rock and this is, and they're like, and it's like, it quickly deviates from them knowing, as long as they know that you're not a piece of shit, they immediately bring it back to themselves because they're boomers and they're selfish. They're like, look what we're doing, and we just put in a new garage, and we just got this new grill. It's a fucking flat grill. It's like 48 inches long, and it's got this, that, and the other thing. It's powered by solar. The urban boomer did nothing. The urban boomer doesn't do shit. They didn't build the fucking house. They maybe had contractors, if they were like part of a major law firm or something, knock down an old house and build up a new one, and they pay a shitload in taxes because the fucking city saw the original plans of that house from the bottom up, so they're paying like $20,000 a year in taxes, dummy, where they could have renovated the old house. They didn't fucking build anything. And in many ways, they made it worse because all they did was buy the house, and now they're just renting it out. They just rent it out. They charge people. They over fucking charge people. Urban boomers don't do anything. They don't. They're useless. Another thing about the rural boomer. Like I said, I want to emphasize this. They just stare at their lawn. But they stare at the thing that they mowed. They, curated and landscaped and them little cut lawn trimmers and tree branch cutters, and they're out there and they're doing stuff, and they're working out the bad knee and stuff, and they're out there doing that stuff, and they're creating a display. They're creating a little nature. Oh, the fucking rabbit's on the lawn again. Oh, look, there's a little raccoon. And it's like, oh, honey, and they take a picture on their smartphone and they send it to their fucking spoiled ass little kids, grandkids. Look at the skunk, the cute little skunk with the two little baby skunks in the back lawn. Isn't that cute? Urban boomers don't do that. The urban boomers don't do that because they have no lawn to stare at, because they decided to buy a house in the middle of the fucking city, because they're idiots. They don't stare at their lawn. They stare at the street. They stare at the concrete, which is the heat. The heat rises from the fucking street and just fucking permeates, and they gotta buy AC, but AC's expensive and their electric bill goes through the fucking roof because it's a concrete jungle. But they still paid the same amount, if not more, for their house than the fucking Harlingtons did in that town, but they got streets to stare at and the noise going by. And the noise of the nightlife, it's like, oh, those loud exhausts. I gotta go to the town meeting next week and speak my mind about these loud exhausts and blah blah blah. These damn muscle cars. Everybody should go electric. That's what the urban boomer does. They just stare at the streets with their eyes and their ears, and it's annoying. They suck. There's a huge split in the urban boomer versus the rural boomer. Like the rural boomer sees newcomers to the neighborhood as like a potential neighbor. Even if they're just walking down the street, or if they're just looking at a home. Maybe we'll rent it. Maybe we'll buy it. I don't know. But they look, oh, hey, you're thinking of, oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a beautiful, and they go, this is a beautiful area. Tommy next door is really, really nice. He's a sweet guy. And he's a handyman. Yeah, he's a handyman. He did carpeting. He does plumbing. He does electricity. If you ever need a guy, something happens at your house, he can come over and he could do this and that. And it's like, oh, yeah. And then you buy the house. It's like, oh, you got the home. That's so great. Oh, and you have a little dog too. And like they just do. They see every passerby and they know that's Michelle down the street. That's me. That's Michelle. This is Michelle. She lives right down the street. Oh, really? That's cool. Sweet. I'm gonna go fuck off now. But cool. Hi, everybody. I'm gonna go do other things. But cool. I'm glad you approve of me, at least for the moment. That's what they do. They see everybody as like a potential. Hey, you want to come over for dinner? We're having hot dogs. It's like, oh, hot dogs. A gourmet meal? Fucking sign me up. Urban boomers, never. They see newcomers as a potential nuisance. They see him as a potential noise violation. They see him as crime. They see him as a fucking suspect in a murder case on the First 48 on the A&E channel. That's what they see. That's what the urban boomer sees. They peer out their window like, who are those people? And that doesn't matter. And look, don't think I'm coming at this with a little bit of racism here. It's like they'll stare at anybody. You could be Swedish and they'll still look at these fucking. They just do because they're bitter that they bought the wrong house. It's all my wife's fault. I never wanted to live here. She wanted to be close to everything. That's the split between the urban boomer and the rural boomer. It's great, but there's more than that, though. There is more than that. I mean it. Like I said, the greatest generation built this country. The rural boomer at least maintained their part of it and improved upon it. So they got a little bit of that farmer strength from, chopping wood. It's like, oh, we can put an outside fire. We can have a little bonfire. Or the fireplace that was already built by the greatest generation in our house. It's beautiful. We should use it. Cool. Well, what do we need? We need wood. So we go out there. We chop wood because we're in the countryside. So we chop some wood. We chop wood. We make a wood place. So they got they got a little bit, a touch, maybe 2%. Maybe like if you're Italian, you're kind of part black, but it's like 2% of farmer strength in them where they can go and tend to things. So they have some strength to them. They may not vote like you, but they do mow their lawn like you. They do chop wood like you. They check their own oil like you. That they do these things, and it's like, oh, you want to borrow my chainsaw? Sure, borrow my chainsaw. Blah blah blah. I got the new one. It's got a rechargeable battery. It's like they are helpful. Even if they are separated, whether it be by a small rock wall or white picket fence, doesn't matter. They either stay out of your way or they help. Okay? They got a touch of that farmer strength because they're able to do things independently. Whereas like the urban boomer, nothing. Completely fucking useless. They're weak. They have no muscle mass. They're both of their joints are all calcified. Their knees are fucked. They got tennis elbow from fucking jerking off all day. They can't even do it anymore because their wife hates them. They can't do anything. They have no muscle mass. Oh, renewables. They gotta separate the plastics. They just suck. They're completely weak. They're weak in the body. They're weak in the mind. They listen to their wives way too fucking much. The wives are just naggy cunts with Carol cuts. They're completely they can't do anything because there's no wood to chop, there's no garden to tend to, there's no lawn to mow, there's no anything to do. It's all just contractors. They're all just contractors. So nothing they do. They can't do anything. So they just wither away like they're floating in fucking space because there's no muscle. You lose muscle mass when you're in space. So they just turn like urban boomers. They just turn into fucking cups of Jello. That just turned into cups of Jello. Like I go to the store and I go and get fucking boomer cups. It's just a scoop of boomer, and that's what an urban boomer is. Just cups of fucking Jello because there's nothing for you to do in an urban environment other than complain.
Nothing. Whereas the rural boomer, they can make your life easier because that's what like I just said, it's what the neighbor does. Hi, neighbor. Not like this neighbor I talked about in Manchester where the fucking police were going in there pulling bags of evidence out with a fucking paddy wagon. No, this neighbor makes your life easier. Hey, neighbor. It's like, oh, I do this and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, oh, your chain on your bike broke. Well, I know. And they help. They're nice. And it's like, oh, yeah. And that's what the neighbor does because they want you happy because as long as you're happy, their life is easier over here. And in order for them to continue to be selfish with their life over here, they need you to be at least looking happy. So that's the thing, because what happens over there can be a problem over here. So the rural boomer can make your life easier if they are your neighbor or your street community member. Urban boomer, none of that. They just make your life harder as a neighbor because they have hard picket fence lines and they mow their lawn. They won't mow if they do mow their lawn, they ain't fucking mowing around your mailbox. Fuck your mailbox. They're not doing that. They're hard set lines. You come across that, it's a noise ordinance. It's a fucking pollution ordinance, it's a this ordinance, it's a that ordinance, and then they call the police or they call the DPW, and it's like because it's all about them. It's about hard lines and hard surfaces. It's like I bought this $1.2 million house and you can't do anything next to it, otherwise I'm going to call the police, I'm going to call the Space Force, and we're going to blow your house up. That's what they do. That's what urban boomers do. They fucking suck. There's nothing good about an urban boomer. Like I said, they never created, they never maintained. They just destroy because they already destroyed their own souls inside of themselves. They got nothing better to do but destroy yours as well. The urban boomer is not like the rural boomer, also in the sense that the rural boomer, they have like patio parties or dinners. You watch them in their little rooftop fucking cathedral mansions or little boomer houses that secretly, they look like they're 800 square feet, but they're secretly 2,400 because they got this whole place out back that you can't really see it because it's surrounded by these sunflowers that Carol planted the other day. It's like 2 years later, it literally you can't see the other half of the house. Oh, you didn't know there's a whole section out back that's 42,000 square feet? You didn't see that? Come up back. We're hosting a dinner party for all of our fucking geriatric friends. It's like, oh, great. And then you go there and it's like, they're all having patio parties and they got the solar lights going and you hear the Jimmy Buffett watching the sun bake, the shrimp's beginning to boil, and they're just having a good old time. They're having a great old time. And just like, it's like, I wish I was there, or you are there, and you can't afford anything that they're doing, but you're there and you're happy I'll have a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Oh, I got to work tomorrow. Oh yeah, you got to work tomorrow. That's right, because you're 30 years younger. We're retired. We made all the money in the world, and even though we won't give it to you, we're happy to show it off to you. Look, here's a briefcase full of money. Hey, we'll see you next week for the shrimp barbecue cookout. Have a good one. And you're like, well, fuck it. If I have a tenth of what they're having and I can stay here and watch them be happy, I'm totally happy as well. Because they're having their patio dinners, their wine dinners, their orgies, whatever the fuck it is, they're having a good time and they're not bothering you. And sometimes you get to go to their orgies as well. Whereas the urban boomer, it's just an orgy of complaints. All they do is make your fucking life miserable. It's not patio dinners with friends. It's enjoying fucking filing town hall ordinances and complaining at fucking community, like we go to the town halls, section B12, no dogs over 50 pounds, no pit bulls, no fucking Belgian Malinois, no hunting dogs, no spear-shaped horned pretzel fucking twinned frogs with the flying, none of that. They just want to, all they want to do is infringe upon the things you want to do as a community member. Oh, Sally planted flowers in front of her house, but they're not the same color as my flowers. So we're going to have to just go ahead and buzzsaw all those fucking flowers because you didn't follow HOA guidelines. And HOA guidelines say that all the perennials have to be a certain purple. And if they're not a certain purple, we're going to have to cut them all off. And we're going to have to do it. And we're going to have to find you a $150 fine for not following the HOA guidelines, using the section mulch without the nitrogen in it because you didn't do the right mulch. mulch. It had to be the brown mulch, not the black mulch. And to do that, we're going to have to find you another $50. Okay? And that's what the urban boomer does. This is truth. This is 100% truth. The urban boomers do this. They're fucking cunts. I can't fucking stand them. The rural boomers, like I said, the rural boomers, you drive by in your fucking 2006 Honda 8 CRV and they just wave. Hi, Sarah. Hi. No, stop on by. They wave you down. Hey, our peppers, all of our green peppers and our banana peppers, they all just came in. Look, we got so many. Do you want some of them? Here, come inside real quick. We got some banana peppers for you. Here's like fucking 28 of them. I know they're like $3 a pound at the fucking fresh market, but here's like 42 pounds of green peppers. Here's our firstborn son. Okay, here's our dog Max. Here, take it all. Take it all. It's all right. We're gonna build a fifth fucking floor on top of our house next week. We're gonna have plenty of room for more shit and more banana peppers and more Maxes and more Sallys. It's like it's fine. Hey, to come by next week. It's human trafficking week. Come on by next week. It's perfectly great. It's what they do. They just wave goodbye. Bye. We're going to go back to our fucking awesome lives. But the urban boomer, none of that. They don't wave at passersby. They yell at you. They just yell at you. Slow down. If they can hear your car, if they can hear your car before they can see your car, they are instantly yelling at you. They're instantly yelling at you. And it's even worse for me because I'm in a fucking convertible with a terrible sound system but a great engine. And they just slow down. Doesn't matter. You could be doing 10 miles per hour on a 25 mile per hour road. If they can hear my 2.5-inch exhaust pipes coming down the road, that's what they do. That's all they do because they have nothing better to do. They're walking down their roads with their weak muscle masses and their ugly, flat-titted fucking wives, and they just, why don't you slow down? That's what they do. They fucking suck. Because it's hot out there, there's something but concrete and overpriced houses and unattractive women whose pussy smells like tofu. It's just fucking terrible. But finally, the urban boomer. They have, like I said, they talk about their problems, the physical problems they have. Lower back, knee problems. They have those. They're old. They're not very good with doctors and nutrition and things like that. They just eat terribly. They drink good wine. Don't get me wrong. They drink great wine. They drink good alcohol. But it all catches up to them in the end, and they have lower back problems and things like that. But that's your cue to get in with them and help them out. And work with them. You always spot the weak ones and you help them out. The rural boomers always help out the rural boomers. Why? Because they got money. They have money and they got stuff. And they are totally fine with giving you the stuff. They won't just give you money. They won't because they're rural. They're still boomers and boomers are selfish. I mean, maybe I've actually made them a little more selfless and a little more kind and caring. Maybe that's true. Maybe that's what the rural boomer truly is. But they're going to give you stuff. They're going to give you stuff. Like, as far as, like, if you go and help them out, there's a lot of this for that in the rural community, even with the boomers. And especially, and if they're weak, they got bad knees, they got bad back, they got migraines or whatever. You know, Tommy can't. He had surgery last week, and it's going to take him about 6 months to recover. It's like, oh, I can help you with the wood, Mrs. Jones. I can help you with the wood, Mrs. Jones. But the thing is that if you help them, they're going to remember that. They're going to remember that. And that's going to be working in your favor later. The urban boomers, they don't have lower back problems. They don't have knee problems. They don't have that problem. They have a mental health problem. They have a mental health problem because they're in a concrete jungle where it's 9,000 degrees out. They don't have a fucking lawn. They just stare at the window. They stare at their walls. They're staring at their fucking ugly ass spouse. And it's like, and they got the skinny fat syndrome, and they're just sitting there going fucking insane. Oh, but the Elon Musk and the Tesla, oh, he just went crazy, and Trump and blah, blah, blah. They're out of their minds. They're mentally broken. Urban boomers are mentally broken individuals. They have a mind virus, and you cannot live next to them. You have to move away from them. Go find. In conclusion, do not move to a place where you're right next to everything. You're within walking distance of everything. If you're in walking distance from the beach or the park, where like a rural park, that's one thing. But if you're in walking distance of like all the restaurants and like City Hall, you're an idiot and you are an urban boomer. You can find me on Instagram at Positive Sarcasm,
at @positive_sarcasm. Hit me up on, if you want to hit me up on Facebook even, you can do that too. Just look up Positive Sarcasm. I'm probably on there somewhere. Email me directly, positivesarcasm at outlook.com. Instagram at positive_sarcasm. But you can find everything that I am. positivesarcasm.com. You can even download and stream directly from my website. But podcast is available everywhere. And the video version, if you want that, is available on Rumble, Positive Sarcasm, and YouTube, Positive Sarcasm Podcast. So once again, thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing. And congratulations to the rural boomers. They did not build this country, but goddamn it, they did maintain it. And congratulations to you. Recorded here from the Spare Parts Studio, alongside New Hampshire's beautiful seacoast, for entertainment purposes only. This has been a Positive Sarcasm presentation. I am sweating.